Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Minority Reportz podcast and digital series. I am your host, Mona Shaikh. You guys, what is happening? I know that the weekend is around the corner. A couple of announcements. I got booked at the Comedy Store today at an amazing show called Crack 'em Up Thursdays, and I'm going to be on it on July 1st at 8:30 show, and then July 2nd, I'm emceeing a spot at the Stand-Up Comedy Club in Bellflower, and that show is going to be an 8 o'clock show too. I'm going to have those details on my website if you guys want to come and watch me. It should be on my website at monashake.com. But enough about that. In the meantime, I have an amazing guest, my friend that, first of all, my guest today is a brilliant comic. He used to host a lot of the Minority Report shows that I used to do in Irvine. And, he has been in the game for a long time. He has seen Tiffany Haddish come up. He constantly hosts shows at the Irvine Improv. He performs all over the place. Here's my very talented friend, Frank Robnett. How are you?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's up, man? So nice to see you. So nice to catch up and have this conversation right before I went and I had to stop you because the conversation was too good. I was asking you what you did during the pandemic, and you said not a damn thing. And I said you were watching a lot of TV. You're like, I'm watching a lot of the world. And then you were talking about how 40 states have passed laws for voter suppression. So let's get into that. Yeah.
Over 40 states. And what's crazy is all the officials say that it was the most honest election.
Yes.
With the least amount of technical difficulties.
Yes.
That we've had. And they're trying to, they want you to believe that they're trying to fix something that needs to be fixed. Even though nothing needed to be fixed.
That's correct.
What needed to be fixed is they've always been able to rely on, hey, if you're black or brown, hey, you're lazy, you don't get out there and vote, you don't make it happen. So you're in the situation that you're in because you don't exercise your right to vote. Right. And then when they came out in record numbers, that's right, black and brown people,
yes.
Now, we got to change the game. The thing is, they know they cannot win another election from here on out.
Yeah. Unless
they do the shimmy sham.
Yeah, that's right. And they know that. I mean, look, Stacey Abrams sent chills down their spine by mobilizing 800,000 voters. 800,000. Georgia got scared. Georgia's like, oh shit, well, wait a minute. I thought we was a red state, but we're actually a blue state. But the only reason we've been a red state is that we've been doing voter suppression. That's the only reason we've been a red state. I mean, between Ossoff and Warnock winning, I mean, Georgia really showed who's boss.
Well, all I know is you take the 9 states that the Republicans wanted to investigate. You look at Arizona. Mm-hmm. Arizona. Record number brown people came out. Mm-hmm. Nevada. Mm-hmm. Record number black and brown.
That's right.
But, there's a lot of Latinos that live in Arizona and Nevada.
That's right.
Then you go to Philadelphia and you go to Georgia and you go to Michigan and like that. And the counties that they have a problem with were black and brown predominantly.
Right.
So, we're supposed to pretend that they're looking out for our best interests. And, it's starting to get old.
You see this face, Frank? You see this face?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy to me. And what's even crazier is people aren't as alarmed as they should be.
Yeah.
Because when once they start fooling with ours, they're gonna start fooling with yours.
Sure.
You
Absolutely.
know,
Absolutely.
and you can tell because they've even put people changed it so they put people in charge of registering, counting the vote.
Yeah.
And if that person decides, hey, we want to go a different direction, they don't have to listen to what the people's voice, their vote. They don't have to listen to that. They can. They've put an overseer on top of that. It says, no, we're going to do it this way.
Right.
And it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I know, Frank. We jumped right into politics, but I want to rewind it back a little bit. And I know that you spend a lot of the time in Missouri because that's where you're from. You're from Missouri or Missouri? Sorry, wait, how do you pronounce that?
Missouri.
Frank.
With a big M.
Man.
No, I mean, hey, it's rough. It's rough in Missouri. Some of them spots in Missouri, people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like going back in the time.
Yeah, I bet.
And I'm not talking about the good old days.
No. I don't think there is good old days for black people.
No.
Good old days for black people? No, there are no good old days. Give me a break. Frank, first of all, you're born and raised in Missouri, correct?
I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and moved to Missouri when I was an infant. So I most of the time in Missouri.
I mean, where in Missouri are you?
St. Louis, Webster Groves.
Frank, what was that like growing up in Missouri at that age? We're talking what? Like, we're talking about 70s? What are we talking?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had good enough parents that kind of, parents and family, uncles, aunts, grandmother, put things in perspective for me, know about the struggle, know that, hey, when you were born, that's when our right to vote was protected. 1965. Or was it 64? I mean, federally protected. That's 56 years ago. That's not that long.
That's right.
And what people don't realize is that I think they realize, they just don't care. Every 6 years or something, they recheck and go through, and I mean some of the
sorry, 6 years they recheck what? I don't understand that.
I forgot. It has to do with the amendment to the Constitution for Black people to vote. They review it, and
even now, or
that, I mean, look it up.
It's just for Black people or for minorities, period?
I think it's for, I'd have to double check, but it has to do with the amendment to the Constitution for Black people to vote. And to protect their right to vote. That gets reviewed. White people don't get their right to vote reviewed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why should we have they keep renewing it? That's the thing. I think it's every 6 years they renew it. Why do you have to renew it if you've lived here generation after generation?
I didn't even know about that, Frank. I didn't even know about that. I wanted to actually ask you, because I'm fascinated. I've never been to Missouri. I don't know what that's like. I have been to Louisville, Kentucky, because my family lived in Kentucky for a while, because they lived in Lexington, Kentucky, because my brothers were treated for their polio at Shriners Hospital in Lexington. So that's how I know about that. However, I wanted to ask you, Frank, how much did you grow up? Did you go to a school like middle school or even high school, and kindergarten, was it segregated? I mean, what was that like? Was it predominantly black? Was it mixed? Were you
No,
experiencing
no.
racism at a young age? Like, what was that
Yeah,
like, Frank?
yeah.
Tell me what that's like.
You know, I was always raised to look on the bright side of things.
I can tell, Frank.
And, you know, I knew about the 60s. I knew about, protests and sit-ins and like that. And I was under the impression that things at that time, in the 70s, things were getting better.
Mm.
It had the appearance of getting better. I mean, people just weren't as openly racist, let's say.
Mm. They weren't just slinging the N-word left and right.
Oh yeah, but if you're in Missouri, you're bound to run into it a few times. I mean, especially in the 70s.
Jeez.
I went to a school. We got the property line got moved for the school. It moved. We were walking distance from the school in our neighborhood, which was pretty well mixed.
Uh-huh.
More white than black, but there was a mixture of everybody at Hudson School. And they moved the boundary a block. So we ended up going to Warson Woods Elementary School, which was all white except for one black family.
Wow.
This is 1970. They had $200,000, $300,000 homes in there. Matter of fact, not too far from there, Phyllis Diller, her mansion is over there.
Oh wow!
And there were parents when we got bused there the first day. There were parents out there. They weren't happy about us being there.
Wow.
And I can't tell you how many times I heard the N-word during 5th and 6th grade. It calmed down after 6th grade.
Wait a minute, from teachers or from fellow students?
Oh, from students. A lot of those kids, they didn't know any better because, what their parents. Yeah. And without having any experience around black people, they thought, hey, it's okay. My parents say it, and that kind of stuff is taught. And, I remember we used to get in fights all the time. And some of them got tired of saying it. And some of them got tired of getting beat up. But
yeah, you're going to get punched in the face for saying that. I mean,
yeah. And, it helped me, that experience helped me deal with a lot of things.
Yeah.
As far as my outlook, because there were plenty of good people, but there were also plenty of good people that kept their mouth quiet. You know better than to say that, or you should correct your friend and tell him he shouldn't say the N-word.
That's right.
But you didn't. And it's kind of like what's going on with the voting rights. Hey, we'll be quiet because, our rights, our way that we do things as far as voting are not going to change that much.
Yeah.
But, souls to the poll, they want to close down, souls to the poll. That's when you go to church on Sunday and then you vote afterwards. They've cut the hours in some of these places where you can't vote after you go to church.
Wow.
And that's a big thing in the black community.
Yeah.
And when they don't even want to make election day a national holiday. That way everybody's got the chance to vote.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous to me to see that there's not more of a push behind it, because all of what you want in your agenda, Joe Biden and Democrats, you're going to need people to come out and vote. Now, the lies that have been put on those people. I mean, people risk getting the coronavirus to come out and vote.
That's right.
Those lines in some of those places were 5 hours long, and you were taking a chance of catching the coronavirus. If you've seen those lines, they weren't all 6 feet
That's right.
from each other.
You can. Yeah, you can.
A majority of them had masks.
Yeah, yeah.
But that just goes to show you, even in those places, they're looking to restrict the hours, make it less time for you to vote, less days to go out and vote. Some of the places cut out the weekend. Well, a lot of people are off on the weekend. Well, if you cut that off, you start shaving more and more of it. And it mainly hurts. It doesn't hurt the 60-year-old Caucasian that's retired that, can go vote wherever he wants to. He's retired. He can go anytime. But students, people that work 2 jobs, like that, they're making it difficult for them.
Yeah.
And they're making it difficult for their voice to be heard. And one of the side effects from that is, there's going to be problems. There's going to be chaos because of it.
Of course there is. Frank, you were talking about your parents. I mean, do your parents or even grandparents ever told you crazy stories of what they experienced, growing up? I mean, you experienced getting called the N-word and then kicking the crap out of someone in school. But your parents and your grandparents, they must have seen even crazier shit than what you saw. I am so fascinated by those.
But you know what? My parents didn't linger on that. I mean, you would hear bits and pieces, but
what's a story that stands out to you where your parents told you and you were like, holy shit, that's crazy?
I can't really think of any. I mean, because that, especially from Missouri, that was, some of that stuff was just normal. Wow. Police, could whoop your ass, and it was your word against the police, and then guess what?
Right.
They're gonna take the police's word.
Of course it is. I mean, not that much has changed, Frank.
No. That's what I'm saying. It's an illusion. It's to make you believe that, some things have changed, but as far as the way the power structure works, that hasn't changed that much.
Yeah.
It will change the more diverse it gets.
Yes.
And I think,
just look during the pandemic. I mean, you have people from all walks of life and all ethnicities coming out and marching for BLM. I mean, I went to 3 of them myself. I mean, with the mask on and everything, but I'm like, I'm going, man. I gotta stand in solidarity with my Black friends. Like, what the fuck? You're just gonna take out my Black brothers and sisters like that? That's fucked up.
Well, they passed wasn't it a law so that you can't hate Asians?
Yeah, there's a law that just passed. Yes.
Yeah. Just passed.
Yes. Well,
2021, they're passing laws.
Yeah, that's right. But
for Asians.
For Black people, that's been a big conversation. Like, Black people have been screaming forever about racism. And listen, God bless, right? God bless for the AAPI community for getting that vote for themselves. God bless.
Yeah. But they've experienced this ain't the Kung flu and all that. This ain't the first time they've experienced this kind of prejudice and this kind of racism. Yeah. But look how long it took for people to act and go, you know what? They need to be protected. I mean, this stuff has been going on in the background, even with Asian people for a long time.
And listen, let's not forget, Frank, all your railroad tracks, your San Francisco It's all the Chinese, man. It's all the Chinese. I mean, one of the worst lynchings I heard in American history is of Asians, like how they were lynched and killed. Like, it's brutal. It's fucking brutal what's been done.
But you know what? The problem is, I watched a documentary. People don't know that history. When a lot of those Asians that come over here.
They don't teach that in school, Frank. Let's be
No.
honest.
Well, I mean, it's just like there was a time, I think in the I forgot. I think it was around the gold rush, but they had banned Chinese people from coming over and becoming citizens. I mean, they were banned.
That's right.
And
that's right.
You know, you look at what happened during World War II with the Japanese internment camps.
Yes, that's right.
Those people lost their property and were put in a desert. It's like, oh, here's camp for you. I mean, may have been a good idea to pass some anti-Asian hate laws then, because that was nothing but hate.
That's right.
Most of those people were American citizens that just looked Japanese.
Yes.
Or you know, first generation
heritage or of the heritage. I mean, but Frank, it's historical in American history. It is. You know, we just kind of go around and just kind of pick the minority that we want to pick on. When September 11th happened, it was us, right? Yeah. It was Muslims. Yeah. It was us.
And anybody that looked like you.
And anybody who looked like me. Frank, I remember that I was in the midst of getting my green card in that time. And I had already applied for my green card. And I was waiting 3 years, Frank, because of September 11th. I waited 3 years just to get a date, just to get an interview, to sit in front of an immigration officer, to be like, here's my paperwork, this is my situation. I remember sitting down, and Officer Nieves, I'll never forget that fucking bitch's face or her goddamn fucking name. This fucking piece of shit looked at me. Within 5 minutes, she looked at me and she was like, your case is rejected, and just rejected me. 3 years I waited for that interview, Frank. 3 fucking years. She rejected, and she said, you're going to have to wait another 2 years to get the next interview date. And in the meantime, my father was dying, and they won't let me travel to go see my father. And my father died, and I never got to say goodbye to my father. Right? And I had to go to fucking war with the U.S. government to issue me my rightfully fucking citizenship. And they finally came out and apologized, and they were like, sorry, we fucked up. After my father was dead and gone. They were like, we fucked up. Here's your green card.
I mean, you know, it's almost, I don't know if you can put these two together, but it's almost like, you know, with the voter suppression and them not being able to pass the federal laws that we need to protect voters' rights. They can't do that. They don't have enough Democrats and definitely don't have any Republicans that's willing to go along with it. So, hey, guess what? Not going to give you that, but hey, Juneteenth. We'll give you Juneteenth. Wait, what do you think about that, huh?
Great segue, Frank. Great segue. Great segue to Juneteenth. Man, first of all, I want my audience to be educated about Juneteenth. I think a lot of people don't know about Juneteenth. So can you explain or kind of give us some rundown about Juneteenth, please?
I can give you a little rundown. See, the Emancipation Proclamation was passed in 1863.
Okay.
That was freeing slaves. You know, you're free people now. And for some reason, I know they didn't have the internet, but it took 2 years.
No, they didn't have
before Texas got the word that, hey, you know what? No more slavery.
Wow.
That's and what makes it even worse, what they leave out is that people in the southern states that had slaves moved them to Texas so that they can keep on slaving.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. But
this is
Texas
even,
was the last state, basically.
sorry, so this is even after the passing of the Emancipation
Proclamation.
And
They
they're
were
like, oh
moving
yeah.
slaves. They like, you know what? We can't do business in Mississippi. Let's take it to Texas. Let's take them to Texas.
So why was it not being enforced in Texas? Was this not like, this is a federal law?
Well, they were the last to know.
Because,
I think they had telegrams back then. I think they had Pony Express. I know it didn't take you a pony 2 years to go from Washington D.C. to Texas.
That's right.
But people were dragging their feet. That just goes to show you that's America. That's how they do it. Mm-hmm. You're free, but oh shoot, we need to let those people know in Texas. We'll get to it.
So then the folks in Texas, the slaves in Texas, get the memo. Frank, I don't know about you, but my brain works in very like specific situations. So I'm saying to myself, okay, so if you're a slave and you get word, hey, the Emancipation Proclamation has been passed, you're a free person. How does that work? Do you just walk into your quarters, pick your shit up, grab your kids, grab your husband or woman, and then you're like, see ya? Because
you know what? Some people did that, but other people, where are they going to go?
That's what I'm saying.
Who's going to help them? I mean, now
what about the owners? But what about the slave owners? I mean, are they not pissed off?
You don't know history. The government paid slave owners a kickback because of their loss of income. They got reparations for freeing their slaves. They got paid. Some of them got money to compensate what they were missing from their slaves.
Wow, because they were getting all the free labor.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why we had the Civil War. They wanted to keep the slaves, and the Union, the North, couldn't compete with free labor.
Yeah,
and so hey, we got to fight it. We got to fight it out.
It's the Benjamins, baby. It's economics. It's economics, Frank. It's 1 + 1 = 2, baby.
It's and then they say you don't need to know this for history. Yes, you do. You need to know why people think the way that they do. Some of them, God bless them, they believe people that kept a roof over their head, food in their belly, and was told every night, I love you. And when you're taught to hate people and to be a certain way from someone that loves you, that takes you to the zoo and takes you to the park and keeps your belly full and gives you allowance, you're more apt to believe what they tell you. Now, not everybody's going to go for that, but there's enough people that do. It's just like, over 75 million people voted for Trump. Now, do I think that all those people that voted for Trump are horrible, hateful people? No. But some of them are okay with the way things are because it doesn't affect them. As long as it doesn't affect them, there's no rush. It's the same. We watched it during the pandemic.
Yeah.
They telling you people are dying left and right. Yeah. And all you got to do is put a piece of cloth over your mouth. And they weren't willing to do that.
Yep. I mean, still, Frank, still.
Yeah.
Look, I have a fan and a friend who lives in Texas. Nice guy, lovely human being, Trump supporter, lovely human being. Okay, great wife, kid. And I asked him, I'm like, hey man, just bought a beautiful ranch in Texas, moved from Colorado to Texas. And I asked him, I'm like, did you get vaccinated? And he goes, no. I'm like, did your wife get vaccinated? He's like, no. I'm like, may I ask why you have not been vaccinated? And he goes, well, the vaccination still fairly new and we want to see how it plays out. Well, I was like, well, I don't think you've done your research, because I assure you this vaccination has been in the making for the past 2 years. This is SARS-CoV-2. That's what this is. They just expedited the process. I've had multiple scientists and research professors on this podcast right here talked about the specifics of how they arrived to the current vaccine that we have and everybody's getting vaccinated. And yet people don't wish to educate themselves. And there's this, and then you look at folks.
You know why? You know why?
Yeah.
Because it's easier to just go, I believe him.
Trump, you mean?
Trump or whoever, take your pick.
And Frank,
research takes time. It takes you to use brain power and compare and analyze. And people aren't willing to do that.
Yes.
Especially if it's going to give them an answer different than what they want to begin with.
Yes. And Frank, when Trump came out after the debate, when he lost the debate, and he came out and said that he has COVID, and I called bullshit on it. I was like, it's bullshit. He's lying. He doesn't have fucking COVID. He's lying. What is the thing that he did right before he left office? He got vaccinated. Now, you know and I know now, because of all the information that's out there, that if you have COVID, you do not get vaccinated for at least 6 to 8 months, because you already have the antibody, so you don't need the fucking vaccine. So why would you get the vaccine if you already have the antibodies? So which leads me back to the theory of he never fucking had COVID. He lied.
I'm not going to be the one that says Trump doesn't lie. But it is totally possible that the man had it. I believe he had it. And I believe that, when you got that kind of health care,
that motherfucker,
and you got that kind of attention, I bet you he got a blood transfusion. I mean, the top people were behind making sure that he was going to be okay, because there was talk that he was a lot sicker than what he appeared to be. And I think that the normal person, the normal reasonable thinking person would go through something like that and be transformed and think, you know what, maybe, I've been focused on the wrong things. Maybe, I was wrong. But you're not going to admit that you're wrong.
He's a severe narcissist with God knows what other mental disorders that are undiagnosed. I mean,
and you can blame some of that on Trump, but you can blame a lot of it on the people that get paid and stay silent.
You mean the Republican? You mean what the new
Republicans? It don't matter whoever. If you worked for them and you saw some shit that wasn't right, but hey, I'm getting paid, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Yeah. That's how that stuff grows and gets out of control. That's why you think, hey, I can get away with it this time because none of these people are going to speak up.
Yeah.
And so all kinds of atrocities go on because some people are just, I got to get paid. I got to get my money.
Yeah.
This doesn't directly affect me.
Right.
But if I say something, it's going to directly affect my money.
Frank, you bring up a really key point, and it's a very great observation on your part, which is what you said, and you've said it twice. It doesn't affect me. I think what Trump has done is unleash this beast of selfishness, unleash this beast of, hey, it doesn't affect me. Screw you. It doesn't affect me. So why should I do it? Oh, if I put on a mask and save other people's lives, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me.
That was part of the reason why I didn't, because I drove for Uber and comedy clubs were closed down. But one of the reasons I stopped, I had people before the pandemic cough and sneeze in my car without covering their mouth.
Mm. Mm-mm.
And I knew with what was going on with the pandemic, Frank was going to get an assault charge. Because if somebody was to do that with all the information that's out there, I would pull the car over and I'd try to beat their ass.
Frank,
I'm going to give you are getting ready to learn a life lesson. You're going to remember this when you are old and in the retirement home. That guy with an afro whooped my ass because I didn't cover my mouth when I was sneezing. Now, that's just basic common human decency, courtesy. You know, you cover your mouth. I don't care. You know, you cough into your arm. You can cover your hand. Use your hand. I don't care. You're just showing me that you respect me.
That's right.
And I was afraid because of where I am that there are people that will not respect me in that way. And I just knew that, you know what? They telling you to be 6 feet away. Well, you can't be 6 feet away in a car. So I was like, I'm not driving. I'm not even going to take that chance.
Wouldn't it be just easier to pull the car over and throw their ass out rather than beating their ass?
No, see, I don't beat a lot of ass. Okay, I don't call people bitches and motherfuckers.
I do.
I don't do that. I don't do that until it's time.
Until it's time. Okay, that's fair.
And
they gotta earn it. Like Frank, they gotta earn it. They gotta earn it. Okay.
Yeah. I don't. If I call you a bitch, you done earned that spot. You know, I don't use that term loosely on females. Sure. Somebody earned it. And just like if you were to sneeze in my car without covering your mouth during this COVID thing, you need something more than just, you know, hey man, you need to cover your mouth. You need something that you need to carry around with you for the rest. You need something that you're going to carry around with you for the rest of your life. It's called a life lesson. And when you got a black dude beating your ass with an afro, you're going to remember that shit. You might have Alzheimer's, but something is going to trigger that time you got your ass kicked. You'll be like,
next time you go for that, you're like, I got my ass whooped. Wait a minute. Have you ever whooped anybody's ass like that?
Oh, yeah. What? When? Here?
Yeah, I'm asking, like during your days of Uber driving, like
back in the old days, I was a vengeful person. You know, I might let you go for a couple of months, but when I caught your ass sleeping, you were done. I hit you from behind.
Did you ever have
walking down the street thinking everything's all right? Bam!
Wait, did you never have any assault charged against you? Like
no, because you know why? They didn't have film like they do now. Somebody's Ring camera would have caught me. You know, somebody would have got me back then if they had cameras everywhere.
What are we talking? 80s, 90s? What are we talking here?
What's the statute of limitations?
It's definitely past, but I mean,
you know what? It's past. In the 80s, a couple in the 70s. I was young. I was very, very young.
You was whooping some ass back then, Frank.
No. I was not. No. See, I was a fighter. I only fight when I have to. When I have to. I would rather talk to somebody and, you know, be cool. Yeah. But if you push me to that level.
Yeah. No, that's fair, Frank. That's fair.
Somebody's putting comments up there.
Me too. I'm doing it. I'm putting the comments up there. There you go. Andre said that afro would gotten you caught today, my friend. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey man, I live in Irvine. I am under constant surveillance, man.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm riding my bike people are like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
that's the reason why, hey, you got to be careful. I mean, this draws attention.
Yeah, it does.
Sometimes it's very good attention, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Going into the store, sometimes I still get followed in stores. It doesn't matter if I'm dressed up or not. I'm just in a community where, all right, we need to watch him. Or they just don't know any better. They just go by what they see and hear on TV.
Sure.
And I get it.
Yeah. Frank, you brought up a point about how you don't just call people bitches and motherfuckers, which I respect because you're a much bigger man than I'll ever be. I wanted to actually talk to you about, you and I have had some conversations after Minority Report shows about, working in comedy clubs, and you've seen a lot of comics come up the ranks, like a lot of comics that are very, very big right now. We can name a few, but what has your experience been? I mean, you've been in the comedy game for how long, Frank?
It's over. Oh man, I don't even like thinking that long.
I mean, you don't have to talk about it.
I mean, wow, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time, Frank.
Yeah.
Frank, how much do you think the comedy scene has changed since you started to what it is today? Do you think there's a lot more Black comics? There's a lot more opportunities for people of color? There's a lot more diversity than you were when you started, or it's a lot more accessible? Clubs are a lot more accessible for people of color than when they were when you started out?
I think for the most part, I mean, I'm in California. Missouri, there was only a couple of places. You had the Funny Bone, and you had, there was a couple, maybe one or two more spots in the St. Louis area that had comedy. Yeah. But I think it's almost too easy. It was harder to get a spot at the Irvine Improv when I first started doing comedy.
Wow. But you started doing comedy in Missouri though, not here.
Well, yeah. But when I got here, it was harder to get a spot on that stage at the Improv. And then I think, you had back then when I started, you promoted yourself. You had tickets, you passed them out. You went to the mall. You're like, hey, 2 for 1, buy one, get one free. You had these tickets that you paid for that you were getting people to come to the club. And I think it worked good. It even had, you had your posters and stuff like that. And comedy clubs were, I think, liked it because you were doing the work. You were running around, they were going to get their people. They're going to come to the club. Now you need to show me that you're able to put, butts in the seats. And I think that it's, and especially, it got perverted because then there were people that were, and I'm not, hopefully no one that knows is listening, but someone's a realtor and they have, let's say 500 clients, people that bought houses or, stuff like that. That's their guest list. Now, does the Improv go, are you funny?
Oh, they want to get butts and seats.
Can you bring in 500 people?
That's it.
Then come on in.
Yeah.
And I've seen, some of the people that work at a comedy club, we've seen some stuff that you'd be like, holy, really? What
kind of stuff, Frank?
The one that pokes out in my head was this dude his last name was Disney.
Okay.
And they taken his stuff off of YouTube. But this dude had conned some people into this show, and he lied about who was backing the money. There were people that were on there that were performed that thought that this dude was on the up and up, and he wasn't on the up and up. And I mean, it was, you had to see. I mean, this dude ran around with handlebars and made motorcycle noises and went up and around. I mean, he did wardrobe changes. It was like I am watching someone that is mentally ill. I mean,
mentally ill. He sounds like personality disorders and mental illness.
Yeah. But he was able to con enough people, because then we found out that the people that were performing on there were thought that they were auditioning for something, and they didn't really realize.
These are not big names. These are not big names. These are what, up and coming comics?
Yeah, but he supposedly had, some people just see the name Disney and think, oh shit, Disney. I don't know if that had something to do with it, but I mean, it was a trip. And I've seen where, it's a tightrope act between putting butts in seats and making sure that people are funny. Because if you come enough times to the comedy club and you don't see funny people, you might not show up again.
That's right. So, I mean, that's the whole point of going to the comedy club. You want to see funny people, not some bunch of dumbasses up there saying dumb shit.
Well, like I said, I think it's easier now, because I've seen people that been doing comedy for 6 months end up on a comedy stage at different clubs, and 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't mean to shoot nobody down, but I mean, plus you also have to figure in that there's a lot more video, YouTube, social media now than it was then. So some of these people, clubs are looking at their YouTube account. They're looking at their Instagram. How many followers do you have?
That's right.
You got 60,000 followers, and clubs thinking, well, shoot, if they can get 1% of 60,000 to come in here and get in these seats.
That's right.
That's all that matters.
That's right. And Frank, I mean, that's a real thing, right? Their comedy is made in the editing room, which is no comparison to getting up on stage and eating shit in real time, right? And I've seen it at the Improv, here at the Hollywood Improv. I remember being at the lab and it was packed. And I remember walking in, I'm like, holy shit, the lab is packed tonight. So I turned to the comic over me and I'm like, hey man, who's performing? Is there a big headliner? They're like, no, some YouTube star. I'm like, okay. So what he did is he had 4 comics who are all club comics, right? Going up there and crushing it and killing it. And then the YouTube star goes up. Frank, that man was eating a giant donkey dick on stage. Giant. Huge. And people kind of didn't care because they were already entertained by the other 4. And he made them chuckle a little bit. They're like, ooh, we got to see this YouTube celebrity that we fucking follow. And what
was the one where you did 7-second videos?
Are you talking about Snapchat?
No, the other one.
TikTok?
Before Snapchat. Huh? Before TikTok.
Snapchat. That was the
it's gone. It's been gone. Oh. It was like TikTok. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah.
But you had these people, for 7 seconds, you're funny.
Yeah.
And they were popular on, whatever platform that they were on. But 90% of the time, it did not translate on stage because, you're not, like you said, stage, you don't get to cut. All right, retake.
That's right.
You don't get to do that.
That's right.
And man, I felt for some of those people that,
Why you
like, wow, he's
making money.
Well, yeah, but I still felt for him because I would see him backstage, and you would think, hey, yeah, they're making money, but sometimes you'd see them and they know, man, I
It's
ate a
brutal.
huge one,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
It's
and
brutal up there, Frank. It's for sure brutal up there. I early on when I had the Minority Report show at the Comedy Store, which is where it started, I had Anna Alcana, who's a massive massive YouTube star, and I think she just landed a series on TBS or something like that. And she's lovely. She's a lovely, lovely human being. And she came and she did a set, and she started talking about her sister who committed suicide, and it was like, holy hell. Frank, it was not funny. It was dark as fuck. It was like being at a fucking AA meeting or some Al-Anon shit. And I was like, "Yo, is this a fucking some kind of like a suicide fundraiser? Like, where the fuck are we at right now?" Like, it was painful.
yeah,
She's a lovely human being. She's wonderful, and maybe she was practicing and she was trying to get into the groove of it. But man, this is comedy is such a humbling business. It's so humbling. Look, you can be Jerry Seinfeld and step up on stage and people will applaud and be like, Jerry Seinfeld. But after 10 minutes, you better start bringing on the jokes because that's what people are here for. I don't give a fuck if you're Jerry Seinfeld. You better start bringing it on. And that's why this business is so goddamn humbling.
yeah,
It'll
yeah.
humble the shit out of you. It's a great equalizer. I think comedy is a great equalizer. It just equalizes. It don't matter if you've been doing comedy for a day. You've been doing comedy for 10 years, 20 years. It don't fucking matter. You don't go up there and you don't tell a joke that lands and kills. You eating one on stage. You eating one. I don't give a fuck who you are. You know, that's the fucking reality of it, right, Frank?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Have you ever thought about putting out a special? Have you ever worked on a special and want to put that out? What are your we're going to start wrapping up soon. So I want to kind of know where you're headed.
I thought about it. We're still a work in progress, you know. The thing is, here's the other thing. You know, we already said it's about the Benjamins, right?
Mm-hmm. Everything
if you're and if you're a producer, if you're an agency, who would you rather invest time and money in? Somebody that's just starting out, that you can mold and maybe put in the direction that you want them to go in, and know that, you know, at 20 years old, you know, you might have another 40 years of income out of them.
Yeah.
Or would you rather deal with someone that, hey, he might be funny, but he's 56 and right now he's healthy? Where do we want to gamble? Where do we want to put that money and that energy? So, you know, I look at things realistically. Now, you know, if the game changes, then you need to change with the game.
That's right.
You need to learn the rules, know the rules, and find the, you know, if there's any loopholes, if there's, you know, anything like that, use that to your advantage. So I'm trying to explore a lot of different things right now. Yeah. You know, with the coronavirus and all, you know, I haven't been doing comedy, but I've been writing. Yeah. And I have plenty of material. Yeah. Just getting out there, you know, and you're
gonna get new headshots, Frank. You're gonna get new headshots.
Yeah. I'm getting some headshots.
Got the fresh
fro. Yeah, with the fro. Y'all might see me in a 70s movie. Yeah. Or, you know, I can do a good 70s period piece. You know.
Listen, I would love to see you in Dolomite 2.
Oh, Dolomite. See, I don't need to be the star. I just need a small part where oh shit, that's great. That's just like in something like The Business.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Kevin Hart. If you look at the last 3 minutes of that movie, you'll see me eating Chinese food with a rat tail hanging out of my mouth. That was
Dolomite 2?
no, that was something like The Business. Kevin Hart. It was like Kevin Hart's first movie before
wow.
before he blew up.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of that movie. David Allen Greer. I mean, there was Earthquake. There was a whole bunch of people in that movie, but
wow.
But it went straight to video. I thought this is it. They're gonna know me. And then all the parts that I was in weren't there, and then the one part was, but hey, that's the life you live.
Frank, I think a lot of the movies made in Hollywood are straight to video, quite frankly. I mean, there's only a handful that actually make it to the big screen and to the theater. I mean, for God's sake.
But the illusion that people have is that, hey, all that you'll be a star. No, a lot of that stuff they make, it's a lot of time that particular one sat on the shelf, I think like 2 or 3 years before they released it for on video.
Yeah.
Because once I shot it, I was interested in, going to the movie scene, and I kept checking on Google it, and hey, it's not being released now. It's not.
And then you're like, then you got a DVD in the mail. You're like, here's your copy.
I didn't even get a DVD in the mail. I forgot about it.
You need to hit them up and get your DVD, man.
I ended up buying that movie, and I think maybe I've watched a total of maybe 16 to 18 minutes of it. It's rough. But hey, I was on there.
Listen, man, that's all that counts. That's all that matters,
I can use it as a credit.
Yeah, hell yeah, you can. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that and a cup of coffee.
And a cup of coffee, man. Like a cup of coffee goes a long way, Don't knock a cup of coffee. Frank, we're gonna wrap up, my friend.
Okay.
Do you have a website? Do you like people to follow you on your social media? Where would you like people to follow you?
You just look up. I've the crazy thing is, because of the coronavirus, I've been Frank Robnett for a long time. It's been a long time since I've heard Friendly Frank. And when I looked around like, what? How do you know? And so I even had cornrows in my head.
Oh, wow.
So the fro was gone.
I was going to ask you that, if you've ever had cornrows.
I had cornrows, and people thought that I cut all the hair off. And I was like, no, I made them think that maybe it was cut off.
Frank, I have a question. When you get cornrows, how often do you have to go get the cornrows open up, wash them out, and then get them done again? How often is that?
I don't get it done all the time. I usually have mine in until usually 2 weeks.
Okay.
You wipe it, and then you oil your scalp and like that. But 2 to 3 weeks, and then wash it. Yeah. Have them redo it or whatever, but it's not a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. It's not a big thing.
But crazy enough, some places wouldn't let you work with it. Won't
let you work with it. Won't let you play sports with it.
This 40 years ago was something that hey, you can't wear your hair. Not working at this place, you can't have your hair like that. I mean, there's a lot of places.
So what do they want you to do? Shave your head? What do they want?
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
I mean, that's how deep this shit is. You couldn't have this hairstyle and work at my company.
That's crazy.
What
does your hairstyle have to do with your ability to work?
Exactly. Because it might be a distraction to the others. I'm telling you, things have changed.
Tell them to take the mask and shift it up to their eyes, so it won't be very distracting. So they can just focus on the paperwork. How about that?
Yeah.
That's some dumb shit. Frank, I have this incredible comic that I recently became friends with, Jalen Bishop. She's great. She's a black female comic. She's fantastic. And we were talking, and she was telling me that how random people have walked up to her, she got curly hair, and the random people walk up to her and try to touch her hair. Frank,
Oh yeah.
never once in my life, once has that thought ever even crossed my mind to walk up to a black person and touch their hair. What the fuck?
Here's one for you. I've never thought of touching anybody's hair without asking. Can you imagine what the reaction would be if I saw some blonde-haired lady and I just decided to run my fingers through her hair? It happens. It happens to me a lot. But then, if I say something, then I'm the angry black man.
Right.
No, I didn't mean anything.
Black woman, right? And I mean, you getting your boundaries violated, right?
Yeah.
Somebody stepping.
I would never.
What the fuck?
I would never think of just walking up to a stranger, someone I don't even know,
right?
And without asking, just touch them.
Yeah.
I never that. I wonder what the process is. But even when I was Ubering, people would, touch on like, hey. Oh, yeah. Or when I was doing comedy and people, you shaking hands and stuff, people would touch it. I'm like, this ain't no Afro petting zoo. You can't be just, pet it. But, hey, some people been.
That's crazy.
Some people been living free too long.
Some people have been living without boundaries for too long, and they need to be fucking checked. That's what.
Thanks, James. James said,
thanks, Juan and Frank. Fun chat tonight. Enjoy the rest of it. Thank you very much, James. You too. Frank, always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. We're going to bring you back on again, but this was a lot of fun. Thank you very much. And don't let no son of a bitch touch your hair. You let me know. I'm a come to Urban and beat their ass.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes when they touch my hair, I tell them that it's cursed, and when they die, they'll be my slave in the afterlife.
You know what? That is a really good parting gift. That's a good parting gift. That's a good lesson for them to learn. Yes, absolutely. I agree, Frank. You use that fro curse on them. Do that. Frank, you're the best, man. I miss you, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. That was the amazing Frank Robnett. What a friggin' amazing and fun conversation. I always have a great time chatting with my friend Frank. You guys, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. You can go to youtube.com/Mona Shaikh and the word comedian. I'm also of the same name on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter at Mona's Comedy. You guys have a good evening, and I will see you soon. Good